Alright, hello everyone, just getting things set up here on my end, and then we should be good to boop over to the main screen. Whoops, wrong button, there we go. And we have in fact done pause too. Brilliant. So, hello, my name is Mordred Viking, and I'd like to welcome you to this stream of Europa Universalis 4. This is the multiplayer game where we are playing some Anbennar. This is session 9. Things have been going on. We did miss last week, so the game continued even though I was not here. It just means that we missed the commentary and the overview. So, the big events of that were Crynvar was not present. So Crynvar got backstabbed by the Phoenix Empire, their long-term ally. Phoenix Empire took some of the old Harpy territories. Soldier Sat attacked and took one of the vassals here in the mountain. And Adenica, Marhold, and Arboran took a bunch of the outlying territories around the side. Marhold in particular managed to retake their capital and get a bunch of their lands back again. So Marhold, I think, is probably the one that benefited the most from that, because Marhold was honestly on the verge of dying. And I know there are blue flames, we'll take a look at those in a moment. The other thing is Boiscavo was not present, and somehow the AI managed to make themselves 8th great power. But if I am correct, Boiscavo is missing again today, as is Jordand. So 2 of the 3 New World players are gone, and I don't think are coming back, so the New World is now completely up for grabs, which honestly is only really going to go into Vern's favour. And Vern is, of course, the 3rd greatest power at the moment. They have by far and away the biggest army by a long way. So that's just leading to more unbalance. However, there is a war going on at the moment, and it apparently escalated quite significantly while we were waiting for players to arrive. So it started out as Arboran and Bjornrik versus Adenica and the Small Country. However, more people have just entered the fray because we had Anbennar declaring war on Lorent. Lorent also was not here last week. The AI cancelled all of their alliances. So this was kind of a scummy move, and the players were definitely at each other's throats just now in Discord, because Anbennar went, okay, I'm going to declare war on Lorent before the player can come in and actually restore their alliances. So quite a few people are a little bit upset, or at least Lorent is kind of upset about the state of affairs here. So it's currently Lorent on its own versus Anbennar, Vern, which, like I just said, is the biggest military in the game. And Vern is, in fact, attacking... Wait, is that Vern? No, that is Vern's territory. Lorent's over there. So it doesn't look like Vern is currently on the offensive, but Anbennar certainly probably will be. Drake's Guard is one of Jordand's... No, it's one of Vern's minions. Esmaria is one of Adenica's minions. Vern is Vern, and that is the Emperor of Anbennar. Anbennar is one of the major financial players currently supporting Vern, and actually Vern's armies are on the move, so they probably are actually going to fight. And then we have Lorent, which of course is Torsion. Very much being attacked here. Because previously Lorent was allied to the Small Country and Adenica. It was kind of these 3 versus Vern and Ebethil and Esmaria and Anbennar. And then we had Arboran and Bjornrik kind of as the Northern Alliance. Oslam Asdir is allied to Bjornrik, Crynvar and Soldier Sat, I think, playing very much a balance of power game. And then the Phoenix Empire and Soldier Sat have been rivals in the past. The other big news, actually, is Ovdel Khanzad has really started to come into their own. They've taken over the old, or most of the old Hobgoblin territory up there, taking out the remnants of the command, securing themselves a couple of very lucrative holds, and are generally expanding. They've also been apparently doing a lot of diplomacy towards the Phoenix Empire, maybe hoping that the Phoenix Empire releases Verkor Gulen, which is their dwarven vassal, not a player, just AI, so that Ovdel Khanzad can move in and take over more of the mountains, because they would definitely be the ones able to use that the most. And then it would be Ovdel Khanzad and Phoenix Empire probably against Soldier Sat, because Ovdel Khanzad was the player that Soldier Sat killed. He was Magmarma, who were the ogres over there. Right. Hopefully that's a pretty decent overview of everything that's happened and the madness thus far. Sindrin, thank you for the bits. Gnomes made some of Anbennar's greatest actors. After all, there is gnome business, like show business. Nice. And yes, Vern is very much attacking now. West Ham is one of Lorent's minions, so is Royal Sard. And Vern? 300,000 manpower of the 1.3 million that they could have. Lorent currently sitting at 753, so Lorent is definitely up there in terms of manpower numbers. However, Lorent has a standing army of 402,000, whereas Vern has a standing army of 1.2 million. And Anbennar is now killing West Ham's navy. I don't know how Lorent's navy is looking these days. They have a decent number of ships, but honestly I just don't think that there's going to be very much they can do against the sheer weight of numbers coming against them. Like, that's kind of what allies are for. Hi Mordred, have you missed anything? You just missed the overview of everything that was missed last week, I'm afraid. And then we have the conflict up here, which, like I said, is Arboran and Bjornrik versus Small Country and Adenica. Did we get a Kryenvar in the end? No, Kryenvar is still gone. So it looks like Adenica's not going to need to worry about an attack from the south. And it kind of looks like the Wood Elves are pretty much thrown in the towel. So I was watching Torshin's overview to get an idea of everything that we'd missed, and most of my update there was thanks to Torshin's overview video, which you can find on the YubTubs. I will go ahead and share the link to that if I have not closed it already. I had already closed it. So if you want to see the overview of everything that happened last time, you can check that video out. It's 22 minutes. And it does a pretty good job of showing everything. Then we have the Small Country, who is tapped for manpower, but that doesn't really matter so much because he uses mostly mercenaries. Losing a bit of money, but also paying out 125 ducats, so I think that's probably finance that he can absorb. Meanwhile, Arboran is losing 137 ducats per month, and is already 11,000 ducats in the hole. So if Arboran's not able to secure a quick victory here, I don't think they will. And then we have Adenica, who are currently on 46,000 manpower. Financially, they're very, very stable, and we know from past experience that Adenica's armies are redonkulously strong because of just the sheer power of their cavalry. And they are also allied to Esmaria, which is basically Anbennar Prussia. So Adenica brings the shock, Esmaria brings... Sorry, Encardia. No, it is Esmaria. Where's Esmaria? I was wrong. Is Encardia not being played now? Oh, apparently not. Oh no, they are. Red Centaur's playing Encardia. Are you not a vassal? You are a march. Oh, Adenica's not in that war anymore. Oh, Arboran's AI. Oh, okay. Well, in that case, yes, I think that Small Country and Adenica are going to be taking large chunks out of this. Bjornrik is already pieced out. They didn't want to have any more to do with it. So Adenica and Small Country are going to be taking a large chunk of territory here, and this is going to really benefit the Small Country because, of course, a large portion of control of the Dame's Head right now is... Oh no, they've lost a huge chunk. Okay, what is now Anbennar used to be Arboran. That's why Arboran's losing so much money. They've lost all of their centers of trade. Ah, okay. Meanwhile, down here, we do have Vern attacking Lorent. Lorent looks like they just lost a battle because Vern just has so many men here. Like, even this, which is just a fraction of their forces, is more than Lorent can probably muster. And they still have the Knoll military, which is still using powder slaves who have that whopping 6 fire. Now, admittedly, most of the damage that the Knolls do is shock, so this is probably still doing more damage, but the fact that they have that fire pip is pretty potent. I wonder if they'll actually change to Laughing Chargers. That gives them quite a lot more morale. It's interesting just how rapidly their units change over time. And quite considerably as well. So Arboran marching 100,000 troops around, but they are just being well and truly sieged down by the small country in Danica. Oh, and that's going to be a stack wipe right there. Fire phase. Didn't even make it to the shock phase. Meanwhile, Phoenix Empire is at war. Phoenix Empire has gone to war with Eberthil. Oh, interesting. Eberthil, of course, being a long-time ally of Vern. So Eberthil coming in to support Lorent here, seeing a bit of an opportunity to make some inroads of their own against Eberthil, which until now has been pretty much unopposed. I think this is going to be the first major threat that they're going to face on land. Eberthil did piss off quite significantly the Phoenix Empire by taking this little snake here, which was basically all of their centers of trade, to control a lot more of the trade moving into the Dame's Head and also where Eberthil collects, which is Eberthil. So clearly Phoenix Empire has been sitting here on the side. I wonder if there was a Phoenix Empire Lorent alliance in the works. That could have been quite interesting, but the Phoenix Empire is bringing 737,000 troops. They're also bringing another 484,000 land forces, and then between those, that's what, 800,000? Now we're starting to get a bit closer to what Vern can bring in. Been wondering, am I planning on uploading the Gnomish Hierarchy run to YouTube? No, I don't think so. Because I've already got one EU4 game going up there, and that Gnomish Hierarchy game has been long. Really, really long. And YouTube just doesn't like long series, unfortunately. It used to, not anymore. Which is why I tend to do mostly Hearts of Iron, because a Hearts of Iron series you can knock out in about 20 episodes. Maybe 30. So it does look like Vern is still going to be focusing mostly on Lorent, probably trying to deliver a knockout blow so that they can then turn their full attention against the Phoenix Empire. Phoenix Empire, meanwhile, has secured Eberthil's units and now is just hanging around, probably hoping that Vern and Eberthil will attack them, but they're not going to. They have no reason to. It's entirely in their best interest to knock Lorent out first and then focus entirely on the Phoenix Empire. And I think it's a mistake for the Phoenix Empire not to go and attack Eberthil. Like, they can. They have the land route to it. I think that's going to be a really, really big mistake. Meanwhile, Esmaria, formerly known as... oh, crikey, what were they called? Something. Conwell is currently going against Aranan, which is one of the few remaining large AI nations, taking all of their territory. And actually, Esmaria is like a story of quite the rapid rise to power. They also have Jaberd sitting here in their center, which they are still chipping away at. Jaberd used to be a player nation, but Jaberd has a huge amount of development still available for them to gobble up. But it's so much development that every time that Esmaria declares war on them, they can take like one province. And then 15-year truce. Second province. 15-year truce. Third province. 15-year truce. Meanwhile, we have got a battle going on. So this is Lorent versus Vern. Lorent currently inflicting quite a lot more damage. Oh no, not this time. So during the shock phase, Vern seems to be better. During the fire phase, it definitely seems to be Lorent, which is interesting considering they're currently using the powder slaves. Vern, however, has a lot more troops that they can bring in. We've got Anbennar sitting back there as well. 300,000 against 350,000. And we've got another 70,000 Vern troops over there. Lorent rapidly trying to build up some more reinforcements. They have another 80,000 on the way in as well to match the 115,000. 7.4 morale for Vern versus 6.4, but I don't think that's going to be Lorent's morale. What's Lorent's morale? Lorent has got 6.4, so they do have a full morale pip ahead of them. Lorent does have slightly more discipline, but only a little. And the quality of these two armies, I would say, is pretty much identical. Lorent is going to have some decent cavalry capabilities, and they are bringing in quite a few cavalry with them into these fights. But again, this is just going to be down to pure numbers, and Lorent just can't match them. They're trying really, really hard and mustering a huge number of troops very, very quickly, losing 9,000, 10, 12,000 a tick. Good grief. However, this is all artillery. Lorent should retreat, because now you're just losing artillery. 12,000 a tick. Ah! I'm not sure I've ever seen it go into 5 digits like that. Crikey! And Lorent once again sent packing. This is already 46% war score to Anbennar and to Vern. And unfortunately, like, if this goes completely unopposed, which it looks like it is... Oh no, Phoenix Empire is starting to move. Then Lorent is going to be knocked out. And Lorent is one of the major balances against Vern in this region. If Lorent falls, then it's basically over for the Empire. Vern is unopposable. So I do kind of hope that other people rally. And while Soldier Sat clearly getting their troops ready, because Soldier Sat and Phoenix Empire are by no means friendly whatsoever, it is in Soldier Sat's interest to go and attack Phoenix Empire here while they're distracted against, like, the major... In fact, they're not even just the major military power. They are the military hegemon and have actually almost maxed out the bonuses from this. Which is giving them monthly exhaustion reduction, spy detection increase, province war score cost reduction, unrest reduction, land attrition reduction, movement speed increase, and then a whopping 20% siege ability. Vern is going to be unopposable if nobody else comes to help Lorent here. And I know Torsion. I know that Torsion's going to dig real deep to try and save themselves. They do have full professionalism. Vern doesn't have that quite. So they do have a lot of manpower that they can tick into, although they currently need 142,000 to replenish their losses. Vern is gaining almost 10,000 a month. It's just sickening. It's double what Lorent has. And looks like the sieges are continuing. Vern's pulled back a little bit, probably to lick their own wounds, because you do recover a lot more troops in owned or at least occupied territory. Meanwhile, the division of Arboran goes on. I wonder if anybody's going to be helping Lorent with subsidies. At the moment, no. And Lorent is digging really deep to pay for this war, although actually 322 of that is reinforcement. So that's not going to be a permanent financial burden. Otherwise, they'd actually only be about 25 ducats a month short, which isn't too bad, especially during a war. But they're going to need a small country to give them a hand, especially because Vern, like, the only reason that Vern is able to survive is because of this. They get 400 ducats a month from Anbennar and Aberthil. There is no way that they could afford that otherwise. So the fact that the Phoenix Empire is going after Aberthil, which is the main financial contributor of Vern, is a really good move. And I'd kind of like to see somebody going after Anbennar, because while they're very wealthy, they are very small and a little bit vulnerable. And I do kind of wonder just how strong Anbennar's navy is. Well, actually, that doesn't matter, because Aberthil is pretty much the naval hegemon at this point. So we do have another fight going on here. 160,000 of Lorent's finest going against 80,000 of Vern. Vern is rallying their troops, trying to march in as quickly as they can to go and support this. And it does look like they are going to be able to make it to the fight in time. 6.3 morale versus 7.3. How do they have so much less? I'm guessing you're running with... No, you don't have a morale of armies advisor. You've gone with discipline, fair enough. So let's actually take a look at that. Why is this difference so stark? What are you getting that they're not? Golden Era. Lorent has the Golden Era. Well, both sides do. Power Projection 4, Army Tradition 18, Prestige 8, Human Military 5. Expansionist Zealotry 5, Men of Vern, that's the same as Lorent has though. Elite Regiments Act plus 5, Power Projection 8, Army Tradition is higher, 24. And then also the Prestige buff, which I'm guessing... Oh no, they both would have really good Prestige. And I was going to say, this one actually looks like Lorent's doing pretty well here. 250,000 against 200,000. There's another 100,000 stack there, and then boom! 280,000 against 305,000. Just the sheer numbers of units being brought into this fray is ridiculous. And I just managed to close the chat window by accident. There it is. Oh, you know what? I'm not going to be able to see Discord. Ooh. After this fight is over, I'm going to run off for a second because I have something for that now. So, as many of you will know, it was my birthday 2 days ago. Celebrated it yesterday. I got a tablet, which means I can technically have a third screen up now. Although I still need to get a tablet stand for it. Okay, I'm going to be right back, so I can hopefully load up Discord on that and see what the players are actually talking about. Uh-oh. So that Lorent's armies were caught because they have no forts left to hold. They needed to run away down to here. This could be incredibly bad for Lorent if either of these get stack wiped. They didn't. Okay, it looks like Lorent got away with it. Right, so how do I want to prop this up? Do I still have packet tissues? I do. How about we use that as a stand? That's just going to fall over straight away. How about we get some random desk junk? Huzzah! Station you there. Put you there. No, that's not going to work. Oh, there we go. This is the EU4 multiplayer. Sweet, I can see what's happening. Definitely going to need to get a desk stand though. That was a 40k stack wipe and it looks like there's another attack going on over there. So if we take a look at the numbers, it is currently 280,000 versus 1.2 million with 5 times more artillery, 4 times more artillery. Phoenix Empire, what are they doing? They are launching their attacks on Eberthil. Eberthil is trying to fight, but Eberthil themselves are being overwhelmed. And like I said, I think this is the first time that Eberthil themselves have ever been threatened. Like, nobody has gone after them before now. Meanwhile, the division of Arboran continues, with just people sieging them down. So what Lorent really needs here is for, like, a Denica and Small Country to join the fight against Vern, and just have everybody ganging up on them. But I'm just not convinced that Lorent's going to be able to hold out for long enough to do that. 70% war score. They have to peace out at 90%. That's the equivalent of an unconditional right there. No wonder they're called Lorent. It's just free real estate. Oh, that hurts. I mean, so true, but that hurts. Because that's how I felt playing as Lorent myself. It's not a fun country. It feels like it should be a heck of a lot stronger than it actually is. I think that's just true of cavalry-heavy nations. Because you are so reliant on manpower, you just can't dig as deep as other countries that can actually use, you know, mercenaries. Because if you're a nation that has bonuses to infantry combat ability, those infantry combat ability modifiers hold over to the mercenaries too. Huzzah! Hey, Poet, thank you very much for the Prime subscription. Very much appreciate the 35 months of resub. Very much appreciate that. Pink wings are in a month. Or as Benedict Cumberbatch would say, penguins. Touché. And Cubic, thank you very much for the 34-month resubscription. Very much appreciate that as well. Almost 3 years. Yeah, both of you very close to the 3 years right there. Pink wings. Now, I do kind of wonder what exactly the Phoenix Empire's plan is, once they've occupied all of this, because they're never going to have the naval power to actually land in Ebethil proper. Because there is no straight crossing between this. I was kind of assumed there was. You could just walk across here, but you can't. And Ebethil has a redonkulous navy. The only one that was ever truly a contender to their naval power was Jordan. And Jordan is no longer playing. And we can see that Van Rahar has come in great power. Sir Oakley playing as Van Rahar. Of Rahen, of course. Have they called on Ovdor Khanzad? Who's Ovdor Khanzad allied to? Bunjabid. So Ovdor Khanzad's not actually allied to anybody. None of the players. And there we go. The war against Arboran is done. And if we just stay here on Arboran's perspective, go to the diplomatic map mode, we can see that they lost 3 provinces? Oh no, that's a small country. Oh no, quite a lot more. So they lost only one to Adenica. They lost 2 to Ancardia. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to the small country. And that is a really big boon for the small country because this is a world port. And that does mean that the balance of power here should be switching a bit more towards the small country in terms of how much money they're making. Interesting, Anbennar isn't even collecting here. They're just taking 134 trade power and pushing it back upstream so they can get a tiny little bit more control of this. Huh. I'm guessing that, yeah, Lorent has unconditional. That's really unfortunate, because I think that Lorent for a while has been building up, and now they're about to see their power shattered here. And now Phoenix Empire is about to get absolutely ruined. I appreciate that they tried. Like, that definitely shows some good character there. But they've only got 13% war score from everything they're controlling at the moment. Bulwar was the war goal, so they can get another 14 points from that. That's still only going to be 27. And they're on -2 from battles, but now Vern can focus their entire attention on the Phoenix Empire, and they can use Ebethil's navy to transport them over. In fact, they don't even need to. I remember now. Vern's entire navy consists of just transports. Like, they don't need anything else. Just transports. France from Vanilla and Lorent are like the buff dog and crying dog meme. Yeah, I mean, the main advantage that France have in Vanilla is the morale buff. The fact that they have 20% morale. Lorent only has 10. France doesn't have any baked-in cavalry bonuses. Lorent tries to make up for the loss of morale with that, and it just doesn't matter. There are only 2 nations that I really rate as cavalry nations. One is Adenica, just because they get such outrageous cavalry buffs to basically make up for all of their negatives. And they've pretty much got to be allied to somebody who has a lot of manpower who can actually take the brunt of the damage, which for them has been small country. Like, that small country Adenica alliance has been an alliance made in heaven for those two. Because small country lacks the capability of actually doing a lot of damage, whereas Adenica lacks the deep coffers and the deep manpower pool. So the fact that these two are allied is a really, really good idea. So, what did Lorent just lose? Two provinces. I think West Ham probably... Yeah, West Ham lost the most. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 provinces. So 7 provinces total went over, and this is going to be ceding even more economic power because they just took another World Trade Center to Anbennar.